Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at today's headlines. Presidency says Tinubu deserves second term like Buhari. Federal government increases scholarship grants by 50% for graduate and undergraduate. Plus, French University rejects Gaza student over hateful online post. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in just a moment. Many thanks for joining us. First in the news this morning is a report that the presidency says President Tinubu deserved the opportunity to seek re-election just like his predecessor, the late Muhammadu Buhari. The special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, stated this during an interview with newsmen on Wednesday. Onanuga called on northern politicians to be patient and allow the South to completely turn in power, pointing out that the South had equally waited through Buhari's 8-year tenure. Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima has said that the federal government is committed to improving the output of smallholder farmers with modern inputs and funding. Shettima, who disclosed this in a meeting with the president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, Alvaro Lario, underscored the administration's resolve to empower the farmers, especially youth and women, with access to finance and mechanization. The vice president also held high-level bilateral meetings with top executives of other key global food and development agencies, including the Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization, Q. Dongyu, and Executive Director of the World Food Program, Cindy McCain. Away from that, the federal government has announced a 50% increase in scholarship grant to Nigerian students across all tertiary levels. It said the landmark reform of Nigeria's National Scholarship Program, its most ambitious overhaul in more than a decade, was aimed at easing the financial burden on students and families while enhancing access to quality education for all. The Minister of Education, Olatunji Alausa, who announced this in a statement posted on his X, formerly Twitter, said the decision was in line with the government's unwavering commitment to building a more inclusive and knowledge-driven nation. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino has restated the commitment of his administration to investment in education as it's central to the development blueprint of his administration. The governor gave the assurance when the board of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, led by its chairman Aminu Bello, paid a courtesy visit to him in Government House, Uyo. He said his administration has thus far focused more on primary education and has built modern primary schools across the 31 local government areas in the state. Beyond the structures, he said the government has provided school uniforms, books, shoes and bags for the pupils to encourage learning, stressing that his government will continue to focus on education as a critical component of the Arise agenda. Announcing that government will soon flag off module secondary schools, the governor assured that his administration will stop at nothing to ensure quality and qualitative education for Akwa Ibom children. Governor announced that the State Executive Council meeting was extended to accommodate a comprehensive text fund for it to support tertiary education in the state and the Akwa Ibom State University, AKSU, in particular. He also appreciated Senator Udoma a former pro-chancellor of the state university, for his remarkable contributions to the development of the state, describing him as a perfect gentleman with innumerable impact across the state. The governor, who appealed for more support in the development of tertiary institutions in the state, assured the board of continuous partnership and assurance of a conducive environment for the hosting of their annual retreat in the state. He used the opportunity to commiserate with Masari, a former governor of Katsina State, over the death of his close ally and leader, the late President Muhammad Buhari, and prayed for God to grant him rest. Earlier, Masari has said they were in the state to commission a project at ASU, saying they were even more delighted than the recipient institutions to have the project completed and commissioned. He commended the governor for his development strides, the peaceful ambience and hospitality they enjoyed since arrival, saying the board has agreed to host its annual retreat in the state. Government House correspondent Jen Uwa reports that on his part, the Vice-Chancellor of AXU, Professor Nse Sien, said the board commissioned very important projects including the Faculty of Biological Science Building, Faculty of Physical Science Building, Faculty of Engineering Phase 1 Building, Faculty of Management Science Building, among others. Essien, who acknowledged that the university has benefited immensely from Tech Fund, expressed optimism that the team's visit to the governor will yield more dividends to the state. Meanwhile, Akwa Ibom State government has approved the state medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for 2026 to 2028 in accordance with Section 18 of the State Fiscal Responsibility Law. The State Commissioner for Information, Anyeka Numana, disclosed this while briefing Government House correspondent shortly after the State Executive Council meeting presided over by Governor Umoino. He noted that the approval was given following a presentation by the Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Linus Nkang, adding that the three-year indicative framework based on macroeconomy assumptions is to be forwarded to the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly for legislative action. According to him, the Executive Council, as a follow-up to the presentation by the Ministry of Finance, deliberated on the report on harmonization of the IGR Treasury single account and approved the formal adoption of a TSA policy to enhance revenue efficiency, block leakages, and promote transparency. He also noted that the TSA platform, Akwa meets alongside the State Land Management Platform, are scheduled for official launch on September 1st, 2025. Also, Council resolved to ensure the continued maintenance of the Gosta Akpabio International Stadium and ratify the Finance and General Purpose Committee on the renewal of the maintenance contract with Julius Berger PLC for an additional one-year term, effective July 1st, 2025. He also noted that Council also conceded and approved an FGPC memo from the Commissioner for Finance and Supervising Commissioner for Special Duties and Ibom Deep Sea Port on additional works at a wet luxury exit occasioned by topographical challenges and revised architectural design for the project. Government House correspondent Jen Owa reports that as part of an effort to consolidate their rice food security program, Council considered a report from the Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and approved the commencement of the Phase 3 of the Free Food Distribution Program across the 31 local government areas beginning August 20, 2025. We move now to Africa, where at least 22 people have been killed in violent protests across Angola following a sharp fuel price hike, authorities said Wednesday, marking a dramatic escalation from the previous day's death toll of 4. The unrest, triggered by government decision to slash diesel subsidies, has led to widespread clashes, looting and mass arrest, with tensions spreading from the capital, Luanda, to other provinces. According to report, the protest began Monday after minibus taxi unions launched a three-day strike in response to the government's move to raise diesel prices by one-third, a measure aimed at curbing costly subsidies and stabilizing public finances. We move now to the foreign scene where a top French university said it cancelled the enrollment of a woman student from Gaza because of a social media post that the country's interior ministry called hateful. Authorities did not release the content of the messages, but screenshots shown on social media indicated the young woman had reposted messages calling for the death of Jewish people. Israel is seeking to crush the Islamic militant movement Hamas through a devastating offensive in Gaza after the group launched deadly attacks on Israel in 2023. The establishment said the woman had been offered a place at the Sciences Po Lila University following a recommendation by French consulate in Jerusalem. Still on the foreign scene, Chinese internet authorities summoned NVIDIA today to discuss serious security issues over some of its artificial intelligence chips as the U.S. technology giant finds itself entangled in trade tensions between Beijing and Washington. NVIDIA is a world-leading producer of all AI semiconductors, but the United States effectively restricts which chips it can export to China on national security grounds. A key issue has been China's access to H20, a less powerful version of NVIDIA's AI processing unit that the company developed specifically for export to China. Recall that the California-based firm said earlier this month that it will resume H20 sales to China after Washington pledged to remove licensing curbs that had halted export. Still to come in the news. Toby Amusan others face mandatory gender tests ahead of 2025 World Championships. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. On the business news, the federal government may rack in 796 billion naira annually from the introduction of a 5% surcharge on locally produced and imported petrol based on 8 new tax policies selected to take effect from January 1st, 2026. The 5% surcharge on refined petroleum in Nigerian Tax Administration Act, one of the 4 tax reform bills signed into law by President Bola Tinubu on June 26, 2025. However, consumers have opposed the move, stressing that the government had earlier removed fuel subsidies and now plots to impose a 5% surcharge on fuel without considering the harsh economic realities nationwide. This came as oil marketers stated that the 5% surcharge may further hike the pump prices of refined petroleum products. Still in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has confirmed its intention to raise additional funding to complete the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt Refinery Company and the other 2 refineries it operates. The company also declared that the PHRC is not for sale. Within 2 decades, from 2002 to 16 trillion naira for the turnaround maintenance of the Port Harcourt Warri and Kaduna refineries. It is also actively exploring advanced technical partnership as part of a renewed strategy to accelerate the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt refinery. This was because the refinery company reaffirming its commitment to completing high-grade rehabilitation and retention of the plant. Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Bayo Ojulari, met towers in Abuja, ending weeks of speculation over the future of the country's most prominent state-owned refining assets. In health, patients in public universities across the country were left groaning, stranded, dejected and frustrated on Wednesday as nurses under the umbrella of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives Federal Health Institution sector commenced a nationwide 7-day warning strike. The industrial action led to a widespread disruption across health facilities in the country as patients were discharged due to a shortage of nurses. Many hospital wards were deserted, skeletal services operated in some areas, while others were completely shut down. Overwhelmed by patient loads, the few available medical staff members struggled to maintain basic operations. In the Federal Capital Territory, Bayelsa, Benue, Kebbi, Edo, Rivers, Ogun, benches, patients begging for attention, children returning home with sick relatives, some sitting on the floor, and others leaning against the wall in distress. Still in health, the UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, says Nigeria has the second highest number of cases of cholera outbreak in West and Central Africa. UNICEF Regional Director for West and Central Africa, Gilles Fagnino, said that the cholera outbreak in Nigeria had become endemic. The UN official added that the figure made Nigeria the second most affected country in the West and Central African region. He noted that the cholera outbreak in West and Central Africa region posed a crisis for children. To sports news now, where Nigeria's spring hurdler and world record holder Tobi Amusan will be among female athletes required to undergo a mandatory genetic gender test under new regulations introduced by World Athletics ahead of the 2025 World Championship in Tokyo. According to the update, eligibility rules released by the global body, every athlete competing in the female category must, starting from September 1, 2000, take tests to confirm their biological sex. The test aimed at detecting the presence of a Sri gene typically found on the Y chromosomes will be conducted via cheek swab or blood sample. 2025 started their campaign with a resounding 90% Black man on Wednesday broke down in tears following reports that an Anambra businessman, Ife Sinachi Onyekere, also known as Fish Magnet, has been killed. Recall that Onyekere, who is the son of a chieftain of the All Progressive Grand Alliance in Anambra State, was abducted by the daredevil kidnappers on Saturday. The assailants causing mayhem in the region in Okpono, Oka South local government of Anambra State, and wakes him away to an unknown destination. Fish Magnet, as he was formerly called, was however found lifeless on Wednesday, sparking public outrage across. Thousands lined the streets of UK City, Birmingham on Wednesday to pay an emotional farewell to hometown hero Ozzy Osborne, as a heavy metal hellraiser was laid to rest. The Black Sabbath frontman Osborne, who earned the nickname the Prince of Darkness and once bit a bat while on stage, died on July 22 at the age of 76. He had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2019 and died 17 days after playing a final gig to a sold-out crowd in Birmingham. Osborne's funeral procession set off at around 12 GMT en route, planned with the rocker's family through the English city. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media